When Anthony Edwards entered the NBA, it was easy for me to view him as a future star. He was the number one pick in the 2020 draft and the number two prospect on my big board. He had every tool you looked for in a star shooting guard and then some. Athleticism, physicality, shot race intangibles, all of it. But even though I thought Edwards had a ton of upside, he's completely shattered all my expectations for him when he entered the NBA. He's gone from a high upside prospect to a rising star to one of the best players in the world in just 4 seasons. The sky is truly the limit with Ant. He can be as great as he wants to be, and the scary part is, he knows that. But quickly before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and notify whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways to help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about Anthony Edwards. What makes Edwards such an easy player to project as a superstar is his progression as a player. He's gotten better every single season in terms of advanced metrics and efficiency. His estimated plus minus has seen significant improvement, going from the 55th percentile as a rookie to the 88th percentile in year 2, 89th percentile in year 3, and 95th percentile in year 4. His estimated wins have also seen significant improvement, going from the 72nd percentile as a rookie to the 93rd percentile in year 2 and 3, and this season he's in the 97th percentile. On top of that, his efficiency and production have gone up nearly every season. 90th percentile scoring production with 23rd percentile true shooting as a rookie, 94th percentile scoring production with 50th percentile true shooting in year 2, 95th percentile scoring production with 46th percentile true shooting in year 3, although while the percentile did drop, his true shooting did increase by nearly 1%. In this season, 97th percentile scoring production with 52nd percentile true shooting. What this shows me is Anthony Edwards is getting better every season, and as his production and efficiency get better as a scorer, his impact on winning has gotten better as well, going to show just how valuable of a scorer he is to his team. Anthony Edwards has one of the most impressive physical and athletic profiles I've ever seen, regardless of position in the NBA. He checks up so many positives in terms of physical and athletic tools. 6'5", 225 pounds with a 6'9" wingspan. Incredible quickness and burst. Great speed with and without the basketball in his hands. Unreal vertical explosiveness and range. Physicality that makes him nearly unstoppable 1v1. He's the dream shooting guard from a physical and athletic perspective. Quick, fast, explosive, physical. All of it is at an elite level, making him one of the most athletic players in the NBA today, as well as one of the most athletic players we have ever seen. He's such an athletic freak that you could take away one of his traits in that regard and he would still qualify as an elite athlete. But it's one thing to have every athletic and physical tool. That doesn't guarantee you're going to be a great player though. At the NBA level, it takes more than just having those natural gifts. It takes having the motor, wiring, skill, and feel to capitalize on those gifts. And that's what separates guys like Jalen Green and Andrew Wiggins, who are fine players but not nearly at the level that their gifts suggest they should be, and Anthony Edwards, who is trending toward the level that his gifts suggest he can reach. Edwards has made real strides as a rim pressure threat. He has had all the tools to be a great one since he entered the NBA, but it's taken some time for him to reach the level he's at now. This season, he's shooting a career-high 64.1% at the rim, while also averaging a career-high 6.4 free throw attempts per game. He's capitalizing on his incredible physical and athletic gifts. He's too big, he's too strong, he's too physical, too quick, too fast, and too explosive for any guard to contain 1v1, and even a decent amount of wings. Once he gets that first step, forget about it. Once he gets downhill, he can't be stopped. and he's proven to be a great rim pressure threat despite not having a great whistle. Refs officiate him differently because he can handle so much physical contact compared to other players, which is similar to guys like LeBron and Shaq in their primes. Regardless, he's still very effective and has room to grow. He's this good already and can still get better. He can attack the rim more in my opinion. He's grown in terms of his rim volume to a very good level, and he's also gotten his efficiency at the rim to a good level. Being a 6 to 8 attempt guy per game on mid-60s efficiency at the rim is really good for a guard, and that's what Edwards is. And it already puts him up there with guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka, John Morant, and Donovan Mitchell among rim pressure guards. But he also has the tools to be better than them. He's more explosive than Luka and SGA. He's stronger and more physical than Ja. He's bigger than Donovan Mitchell. He's a great rim pressure threat right now, and I don't think he's done growing as one either. Edwards has also progressed as a mid-range shooter. According to Clean the Glass, this season he's at 39.6% on 4.4 short mid-range attempts per game, which resides between 4 feet and just within 14 feet, and 38.5% on 3.2 long mid-range attempts per game, which resides between 14 feet and just within the 3-point line. This kind of efficiency is closer to average, to maybe slightly above average, than it is great. But given the volume, it is enough to label Edwards as a real mid-range threat. He has very good pull-up mechanics. He's at 38.7% on 4.8 pull-up mid-range shots per game, and high 30s on mid-range efficiency is a good number for a guy who only has 27.3% of his mid-range production assisted on. The mid-range is still one of the more valuable areas of scoring in today's NBA. It's not as really efficient in terms of look compared to a layup, and it's worth the same amount of points. I get that. It's also not worth as much as a three. I also get that. But for a scorer like Anthony Edwards, it does matter. Being able to be effective on all three levels of the court is valuable for an elite scorer, and Edwards has shown a ton of growth in his volume and efficiency as a mid-range shooter. It allows him to leverage his monster rim pressure ability. It gives defenses more to worry about with him as a scorer, and it's becoming a part of his game he can consistently go to. Teams will play him for the drive more. They always will. They fear him at the rim because he really can't be stopped physically and athletically 1v1, because he's a better rim scorer than he is a mid-range scorer. But having that leverage he can consistently go to as a counter is valuable, and if he continues to improve his mid-range numbers at the rate he has so far, it will only make him a more complete scorer, which will also make him a more unstoppable player than he already is. Being a 3-level scorer means you have to be a threat from beyond the arc, and Edwards is one. He's been a high-volume 3-point shooter since he entered the NBA, but the efficiency over the last 3 seasons is catching up to the volume at a good level. Over his last 3 seasons, he's shooting 36.1% from 3 on 7.4 attempts per game. He can shoot both on and off the ball, which is very valuable. He's a shooter I view in a similar light to guys like Harden and Luka, minus this season really. Mid to high 30s efficiency from beyond the arc with high volume. You're a little bit closer to average, maybe above average efficiency because of the volume and degree of difficulty on his shots. Edwards wasn't a good 3-point shooter in college. He shot below 30% from beyond the arc during his lone season at Georgia, but he averaged nearly 8 attempts per game, and his efficiency overall was a combination of natural shot selection and growing pains that all young scorers go through, while also having to carry a 30.4 usage rate as the only real creator on that Georgia team as an 18-year-old in the SEC. He has made a lot of strides, and he always had positive indicators beyond the numbers in college as a shooter. The form is very good, one that allows him to be consistent in terms of on-ball and off-ball reps. He has decent shot versatility, and we are seeing him reach the level of shooting outcome that is required to be an elite scorer when you combine it with everything else in his game. He's never going to be somebody that I view as a Steph Curry level shooter or even a Damian Lillard level shooter. I don't think he'll ever be like 45% from 3 on high volume type of guy, but he doesn't have to be. Given his athletic profile and creation tools, he really only needs to become an average shooter on high volume, which he is, and anything above that would just raise his already limitless ceiling. Edwards has 3-level scoring ability combined with an athletic and physical profile that makes him pretty sought after already. And now combine that with legitimately special and growing shot creation intangibles, and it makes him one of the best players in the NBA. This season, he shot 46.2% on 2.4 shots per game, where he takes 2 dribbles, 45.5% on 6.2 shots per game, where he takes between 3 to 6 dribbles, and 47.9% on 5.8 shots per game, where he takes 7 or more dribbles. He's very effective creating on the ball, has the strength to overpower defenses, the skill and athleticism to create separation against defenses. But what has really stood out to me this season and has been really promising is the progression he's made in terms of developing his counters. He had solid counters prior to this season, but he also had plays where he would get caught up and stuck. He did make up for this and was able to get away with just having solid counters because he's just bigger, faster, and stronger than everyone else. That's a pretty good natural counter to have. But this season in particular, I saw a real improvement in his counters. It's not perfect. He still got caught up on a few plays, but it wasn't as noticeable compared to prior seasons on tape. And he's legitimately effective with his counters. He was already a player that could get away with it because he's just that much of a physical and athletic freak. But now it's even harder to stop him because he is bigger, faster, and stronger than everyone else and can just use that to be a really hard player to guard. Now he also has effective counters as well, and it makes him even harder to stop. On top of that, he also is a very good tough shot maker. This season, he shot 48.9% on 9.6 attempts per game, where defenders were between 0 to 4 feet of him, which the NBA qualifies as very tight to tight defensive coverage. And considering that accounts for 48.7% of his attempts this season, the fact that he was near 50% on tight defensive coverage shots is very impressive. Edwards has it all as a shot creator. The creation ability, the growing handle and counters, the ability to create separation, utilize his athleticism and physicality to his advantage, and the ability to hit tough shots against tight defensive coverage, which, given how great of a scorer he is valuable. And Edwards has grown as a playmaker, which has made him more than a one-dimensional scorer. Now, I wouldn't describe Edwards as good enough to be a primary playmaker. I wouldn't say he's good enough to be a full-time point guard, but I do think he's a good enough playmaker to be a primary offensive engine, as well as good enough to be a superstar 2 guard in the modern NBA. He's not Luka or Harden as a playmaker, but he's good enough to reach absurdly high heights as a superstar guard. The vision has gotten better over the years. He's making better reads. Now, he isn't perfect. He still has some reads he will miss. He will make some bad decisions. He has some natural tunnel vision problems. But I do think he's grown into a real positive as a playmaker. He may never be a 10+ assist per game player, but he doesn't have to be. He's shown me he can be a 5 to 6, maybe 7 assist per game player if given enough reps in terms of playmaking, which, given what he does as a scorer, is more than enough. On top of all the tools, Edwards also has the wiring to be great. He has the mindset to want to be the best. He plays his best against the best and on the biggest stages. He's a playoff riser. He wants to perform on big stages. And I understand that wiring is something that can't be quantified by stats, but it's also something you can tell when you see it. And Edwards has it. He wants to and will take over games. He cares about winning even when the odds are against him. Basically, everything he's shown since entering the NBA makes those quote-unquote concerns about his work ethic and drive look foolish, because it takes real work ethic. It takes real drive to be as good as he is and improve the way he has since entering the NBA. He's gotten a lot better in just 4 years since he entered the NBA. And when a player has all the tools and gifts you just can't teach that Edwards does, the only thing stopping that player from being great is themselves. And Edwards isn't stopping himself by any stretch of the imagination. Anthony Edwards is one of the most impressive young players I've ever seen. There's no two guard in the last 5 to 10 years that I've seen enter the NBA with his combination of physical tools, athletic gifts, offensive skill, and wiring at that young of an age. He was super young for a one-and-done prospect. In fact, he was born the same year as 4 and is actually younger than 3 of the top 5 picks from the 2021 draft that happened a year after his draft. I thought he would be a good player, a really good one. He was my number 2 prospect on my board in 2020 behind only LaMelo Ball, and it was close between those two. The gap between those two and number 3 on my board, which was Onyeka Okongwu, was pretty big. I had no problems with him going first overall. He was a worthy pick back then and definitely is now. But while I thought he would be a good player, I thought he'd be like a Zach LaVine, a guy who at his best was a great scorer, but also was more of a number 2. I know LaVine's reputation as a player right now is kind of in the mud, but at his best, LaVine was an all-star to fringe all-NBA guy, averaging 27 points per game on really good efficiency. That's a good outcome for a top pick. However, Edwards has completely shattered my expectations that were already relatively high. He's improved every single year since he's entered the NBA. He's more than just a good scorer. He's grown into an unstoppable scorer. The efficiency and production have gone up every season. The ability to score on all 3 levels has gone up every season. He's growing as a playmaker to a point you can build an offense around him when you combine the playmaking and the scoring. As those areas have improved over his first 4 seasons, the Timberwolves have gotten better as a team over those 4 seasons, and I don't think that's a coincidence either. Edwards is already trending toward being one of the best players in the NBA, and I would say he is one of the best players in the NBA right now, and the rate he has progressed is rapid. He's knocking on the door of being one of the 10 best players in the NBA. In fact, you can argue based off what he's doing in these playoffs that he is one right now. He's already an All-NBA caliber player. He's going to be an MVP caliber player likely as early as next season, and you can also make the argument that he is one right now, but probably if the playoffs this season are a sign of things to come, he will be one next season at least. The scary part is, he's only 22 years old and is this good already. He's not even close to entering his prime yet. It still feels like he's just scratching the surface. It still feels like he has another level to reach. And based off the trends in his progression, I can only imagine how great of a player he will be when he actually does reach his prime. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways that can help me out the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about Anthony Edwards. How good do you think he is now? How good do you think he could be? Where does he rank among the best players in the NBA? Who do you think he's better than? Who do you think he's worse than? Do you think the Timberwolves can win it all? I'd love to do all of that in the comment section below, but with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.